Hi guys, Dario here from PC Crazy. Today we're going to take a look at loads of actually awesome TEAMGROUP products, and it's not only ROMs and SSD. We have a case and we have an AIO. So today we're going to look at the speeds of RAM, speeds of the SSD, cooling possibilities with the AIO, and of course what the case has. So let's start with the case. It's quite interesting, in fact, because TEAMGROUP was mainly oriented on RAMs, SSDs, external SSDs, memory cards and stuff like that. And now we have a case and we have an AIO, so that's quite interesting. Now the case comes with two 120mm fans. You get one on front and one at the back. Possibility to mount 240 or 280 radiator on top, AIO, or 360, 280 or 240 at the front. Now here's the catch. It's quite interesting case because it has somewhat a modular power supply shroud, and you have a couple of TEAMGROUP logos. You have T-Force on top of the magnetic dust filter, which is fairly easy to remove and place back. You have a T-Force logo on the power supply shroud, which isn't sticking out, and it's quite nicely and subtly placed. And on front of tempered glass, we have a TEAMGROUP just logo, no lettering, nothing, just logo. So that's cool. If you're wondering, the tempered glass on front, we already covered those parts, and usually they're not good for airflow, but in this case they managed to do something different and still surprise us with one 120mm fan on front. So that is quite nice. Now, since I mentioned modular power supply shroud, right? You have a possibility to open this hatch right here on front and you get access for a 360 radiator. Then you have two additional hatches or covers or whatever that you can remove, place your 2.5-inch SSD like I did, and place it on top of the power supply shroud. The good thing is that those panels have some sort of a dent in, so you basically can easily cable manage SATA cable for your power and for your data. That's nice. At the back you have four possibilities to place your 2.5-inch SSDs, but only two brackets. So you can choose basically where to place those SSDs, and that's quite nice. The case supports ATX, micro ATX and mini ITX, but today, since I went with DDR5 and this was the only motherboard that I had available currently, I went with mini ITX to combine it with Intel 12th generation processor, DDR5, and yeah, that's that. Now the case also has let's say an opening quite nice, and you have a dust filter and of course the RGB LED strip that you can control with the button on top on the front of the case. Now this gives you a possibility to go crazy with RGB or go with a static color, just like I did with red, right? At the bottom you have quite nice possibilities and capacity, I would say, for large power supplies and two 3.5-inch hard drives. Now that's let's say standard, but still you get loads of space for your cable management at the bottom. At the back we have a possibility to reroute the cables quite nicely with some standouts to use zip ties and to organize cables tidily and nicely, so you can quite easily close the back panel. Now there's also one more thing. We have a vertical bracket, well, vertical PCI slots for placing your GPU vertically, but it's unfortunately only two slots, so you could either go with a slimmer card or if you go with a custom loop or something like that, and you could place it right here and it would look quite nice inside your case because the tempered glass on front is quite nicely see-through, it's not dark tinted, and custom liquid cooling would just look amazing here. Now, before we go into temperatures on the processor and on the graphic card, we're going to talk about the AIO. Now, today we have a GD240E ARGB Siren, which is quite nice and interesting AIO. First of all, the pump is on the radiator, and we have also quite nice and good looking block top, which also is addressable RGB. So you get two 120mm PWM fans, supports motherboard RGB sync, so you can go with 3-pin 5 volts addressable RGB header and connect it to a motherboard. It supports AMD, Intel and the latest 1700 socket. Tin pump for high-speed cooling liquid cycle, which I said it's placed right on the radiator. You have a copper water block plate. It looks quite nice. Both fans are addressable RGB and they look really cool. Now, since the main thing about everything is to talk about temperatures inside the case, with this AIO, here's the catch. Now, this AIO, the Siren GD240E, actually is cooling 12600K and it's cooling it around 59 degrees Celsius. And that's only with one intake, one outtake and two outtake on the radiator. So that's quite outstanding, and that's the reason why I said you don't have to worry about the tempered glass. Now here's another thing, we don't have any liquid cooling on the graphic card. So this is Sapphire Radeon RX 6650 XT Nitro Plus, which you already seen in a couple of my videos. And the fan on the front 120 is blowing directly to the graphic card. The temperature is 58 degrees Celsius, so that's quite outstanding. And both benchmarks were run in AIDA 64 Extreme Edition on system stability test with 100% load on both components, so that's quite outstanding. Now, since we covered the case and we covered the AIO, we have to check out the RAMs and, of course, the M.2 SSD. Now, first of all, we have Delta RGB DDR5. Now, this is really outstanding because these are 6400 megahertz 2x 16 gigabytes memory sticks in black, and you have in white version as well, but the black ones really do look quite nice. And you can see actually I left it on RGB Madness, so you can see that there are no individual LEDs to be seen, so the RGB is quite nice, the lights are quite nice. Now when we're talking about the speeds at 6400 megahertz, we have read at 93.5 gigabytes per second, so that's 93,500 megabytes per second. We have write 85, almost 86,000 megabytes per second, and copy is almost at 85,000 megabytes per second. The latency is 71.2 nanoseconds, and I would say that this is quite outstanding when we compare everything else that you can see in this diagram. So yeah, that's quite outstanding, and I would say that they really do deliver with the speeds. It's just outstanding. First the looks, then we have the nice lights, and of course finally the speeds. Last but not least, of course, we have the TEAMGROUP T-Force Cardea A440 Pro. This is M.2 NVMe Gen 4x4 SSD with a passive heatsink that comes included. You can place it on, or if you have a motherboard that has a passive heatsink, you can just ditch this one. But honestly, I think this one cools better than your motherboards because this one is much thicker and definitely has a better dissipation of heat. Now, they stated here the read speeds in Crystal Disk Mark go up to 7.5 gigabytes per second, and write speeds go up to 7,000 megabytes per second, but of course the transmission speeds can vary depending on the components. So I noticed the difference in speeds when I use 12600K and when I use 12900K. So in Autodisk benchmark, what I've got is read speeds going up to 6.6 gigabytes per second, and the write speeds going up to 4.5 gigabytes per second. And I think that motherboard can also have some play in the speeds and everything, plus the processor and everything else that could definitely cause a bit lower speeds or differences in speeds comparing to what they stated. So if I use this one on 12900K and a different board, it could definitely go up. So that's that. Quite outstanding M.2 because first of all, there's no thermal throttling. The speeds are constant throughout the testing and they don't have sudden drops or everything. That's really nice to have. Durability, consistency, and quality, of course. So all in all, we have 4 brilliant products from TEAMGROUP. We have another one in here, but tomorrow you'll see TEAMGROUP T-Force Vulcan Z video about 2.5-inch SSD, which is also inside this case. since I wanted to show you guys actually how it's easy to place a 2.5-inch SSD on your power supply shroud. So I placed it right here immediately and then run benchmarks and everything, but you'll see that tomorrow. So as I said, we have TEAMGROUP T-Force Lares ARGB case. We have TEAMGROUP T-Force GD240E addressable RGB Siren 240 AIO. Of course, TEAMGROUP T-Force Delta RGB DDR5 memory on 6400 megahertz. And finally, as I said already, last but not least, TEAMGROUP T-Force Cardea A440 Pro M.2 SSD Gen 4x4. I know this is loads of information, but in any situation, I'll place the links below in the description so you can check out all the products individually, check out the prices, look what you like, and eventually go and buy them, because I honestly don't have anything against any of these products because they actually work quite nicely and we're basically used to the quality and consistency, I would say, from TEAMGROUP. So guys, thank you for watching today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to click the thumbs up button and subscribe for future content. Thank you for watching today's one. See you next time. Bye bye.